What if I told you Michael Jordan was being referred to as the GOAT before he even played in the NBA? What's up everybody, it's Jimmy, and back in the 80s, the US men's Olympic basketball team was very different than what we know it as today. Back then, the Olympic basketball team was made up of only amateur players, in this case, college kids. It wasn't until 1992 when FIBA began to allow professionals to play on Olympic teams, and we were blessed with this roster. But before all that, we had an Olympic team full of college kids. In 1984, the US men's basketball roster was made up of guys like Patrick Ewing, Chris Mullin, Sam Perkins, and other notable college stars. That same summer, a young Michael Jordan was getting drafted by the Bulls as the 3rd overall pick. But instead of being in New York for draft night, Jordan was busy in the gym preparing with the Olympic team. Oddly enough, two guys that got cut from the roster were Charles Barkley and John Stockton. This team was legit, but even the best college players in the country were no match for established NBA players. Right? Well, in the summer of 1984, the Olympic team led by legendary coach Bobby Knight set out to prove how good this Olympic team really was. Over the course of that July, Team USA was scheduled to play Team NBA 8 times. These were exhibition games that were used as a bit of a practice run for Team USA to build some chemistry and face some tough competition. The NBA team was made up of some names you may or may not recognize. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, Kevin McHale, Bill Walton, Danny Ainge, Robert Parrish, James Worthy, Clyde Drexler, Larry Nance, Michael Cooper, Alex English, and more. They were really good. Basically supposed to slap the college kids around a bit, push them harder than they've ever been pushed before at the college level, and get them prepared for the Olympics. It's kind of like when you see Alabama football schedule some relatively small FCS team just to beat up on them. Everyone wins. The big school gets a warm-up run and adds another win to their record, and the small school gets to face competition they usually wouldn't, and more often than not get a very large sum of money for their troubles. The small school is not supposed to win. This Olympic team was not supposed to win. Except they did. Over and over and over. 96-90, 92-79, 96-85, 128-106. They were whooping the NBA team's ass. In fact, the Olympic team filled with only college kids and very recent draftees won all 8 games. But no game was more eye-opening than the second to last one on the exhibition tour. It's July 21st, 1984. Team USA has won 6 games in a row against the NBA team, and the NBA guys are not happy. Losing to a bunch of college kids repeatedly was more than enough to kick them into high gear. The NBA team gets out to a hot start. Magic, Isaiah, and NBA All-Star Walter Davis come out firing, overwhelming their college opponents. They were not going to lose this game. Except they forgot one thing. The other team had Michael Jordan.
NBA players giving up the jump shot. Michael Jordan wisely sees. They haven't won yet in this exhibition series. Here's a break. Jordan back at Magic Johnson, and there you saw Michael Jordan's tremendous skills as he went past Magic Johnson.
A 21-year-old Jordan, fresh out of college and not a single NBA game under his belt, absolutely lights the NBA team up, putting on moves and shots that most of these NBA players just could not defend. They had never seen anything like it, and that is not an overstatement. After playing against Michael that summer, Magic said that he was already one of the best players in the NBA, and he hadn't even put on an NBA jersey yet. After coaching Jordan for just 3 months that summer, Bobby Knight said that Jordan was the best basketball player that he had ever seen. At the time, Michael was just 21.
I mean, the kid is just an absolutely great kid. If I were going to pick the 3 or 4 best athletes I've ever seen play basketball, he'd be one of them. I think he's the best athlete I've ever seen play basketball, bar none. If I were going to pick people with the best ability I'd ever seen play the game, he'd be one of them. If I were going to pick the best competitors that I'd ever seen play, he'd be one of them. So in the categories of competitiveness, ability, skill, and then athletic ability, he's the best athlete, he's one of the best competitors, he's one of the most skilled players. And that, to me, makes him the best basketball player that I've ever seen play.
The Olympic team went on to win the game 84-72. Jordan dropped 27. The leading scorer from the NBA team, Walter Davis, with 14. The way that a pre-NBA Michael Jordan dominated a group of NBA All-Stars is something we may never see again. Could you imagine if today a college kid was running scrimmages against NBA All-Stars and not only left them all speechless, but dominated each and every one of them for an entire summer? What Michael Jordan did in the summer of '84 is commonly overlooked, yet is one of the most amazing feats of basketball I've ever seen. But if there's one statement that sums up how incredible Michael Jordan played that summer, it's this.
In my opinion, Michael Jordan has the opportunity to become one of the all-time great basketball players in the history of the game. I'm talking about in the class of the Weston Robertson, a Hall of Fame type player. He possesses so many skills physically, and he has all the skills as a basketball player, and he got the shooting, ball handling, movement with and without the ball.
As a kid who had never even played an NBA game yet, Michael Jordan was already being referred to as one of the best players to ever play the game. Hope you all enjoyed, and as always, until next time.